Welcome, everyone, and thank you for being here this afternoon. Please bring your attention to the stage as we call up Hindi Pupko from UJA-Federation of New York.
Good evening. After days of seeing nothing but horror, I am looking out at the greatest Jewish community in the world outside of Israel. We are resilient, we are strong, and we are here tonight standing shoulder to shoulder with Israel at this dark hour. Thank you all for being here. Our CEO, Eric Goldstein, wishes that he could be with us tonight, but he remains in Israel, leading our work there on the ground. We come here tonight with our hearts broken. We gather here tonight overwhelmed with grief, anger, but also with resolve. We will remember October 7th as the day that the largest number of Jews were murdered in a single day since the Holocaust. But we will also remember this time as the time that we stood together, and we stood together with our friends and allies in the political world, the civic leadership that's here tonight. We will remember this time also as a moment of resilience, a moment when we were united, committed to defeating those who seek to destroy Israel and its people. Our hearts are with the families of those that have been murdered and maimed, the families who have loved ones being held captive, and the families who have children serving on our front lines. And we are here tonight with the heroes of the IDF, defending and protecting our beloved state. The world is watching, and we will be remembered for how we acted in this moment. And look how we acted. Look how we came out tonight. So let us send a message here tonight that we mourn, we grieve, we protect, but we will rebuild. Am Yisrael Chai. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Israel's ambassador to the UN, Ambassador Gilad Erdan.
Friends, brothers, sisters, Israel has experienced an atrocity that will never be forgotten. we experienced the Jewish people's darkest day since the Holocaust. Barbaric terrorists invaded our homeland. They massacred children in their beds. They exterminated revelers like the Nazi death squads in Europe. They violently dragged our grandfathers and grandmothers, babies and their mothers to Gaza as hostages. They started a war, not only with Israel, but with civilization as a whole. Israel, dear friends, has suffered our 9/11. Proportionally, this atrocity was 10 times bigger than 9/11. We have witnessed our never again moment, and not in our worst nightmares could we have fathomed such horror. But this moment of darkness will not only go down in history for its infamy. It will go down in history as the time that we, the Jewish people, showed the world that we will never be massacred again. That we will never again be butchered by savages. Look around you. Look to your right and look to your left. Thousands have gathered here to stand in solidarity with our homeland, to stand united as a people, a nation, and as a family. I see before me an army fighting for morality and freedom, a family that surpasses borders, race, politics, and religion. From the moment that tragedy struck, I have not stopped receiving messages, emails, phone calls, and offers to help, to donate, and volunteer. Your love, compassion, and support deeply move every Israeli and strengthen our resolve. I am overwhelmed by emotion to see your endless love for the Jewish homeland. Your love is an integral part of our resilience. Dear friends, what we see here today in New York is a microcosm of what the state of Israel looks like. In Israel, rallying around the flag is not an abstract concept. In Israel, it is a living reality. I know of no other country where in times of war, more people come in than those living. I know of no other country where when tragedy strikes, every man, woman, and child rushes to help. Reservists have enlisted in the hundreds of thousands. Grandfathers are donning their uniforms. Volunteers of every age, not going to school, not going to work, but using every fiber of their being to support our brave soldiers. In Israel, we don't flee the battle. We run towards it. We run towards it because we are a people of heroes, a resilient people. A resilient people who put our lives on the line every day in defense of our homeland. Our enemies thought to exploit our division. They aimed to butcher us when they thought we are weakest. But they made a mistake. The Jewish people are not divided. The free world is not divided. We are all standing together on a united front, one people, one heart, to battle the forces of evil. We are standing together to obliterate the capabilities of these savage terrorists. We have all enlisted, each one helping in their own way to ensure that such atrocities will never be repeated. But friends, today, as humanity is shaken by the horrors that Israel endured, we have widespread support. Today, much of the international community stands in solidarity with Israel. But if history has taught us anything, we must all remember that the world is quick to forget Jewish agony. And it is precisely for this reason that right now Israel needs you, all of you. Now, more than ever, Israel needs the unbreakable strength of our American brothers and sisters. We need you to help us ensure that all world leaders do not forget this atrocity. You must remind them that today it was Israel's children's blood that was spilled, but tomorrow it could be any country's child. You must remind them of this so that the support we see today only grows in the future. Hamas is not only waging a war against Israel. They are waging a war against America, against our shared values. They are waging a war against civilization. It is light against darkness, good against evil. So friends, at so many points in the history of the Jewish people and Israel, we have faced darkness. But we have always prevailed. And I say to you here today, it is no different. This time again, we will prevail. Israel is here to stay forever. Am Israel Chai. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Hello. It is incredibly inspiring to see this amazing, amazing turnout. A sea of blue and white in support of our beloved Israel. I am Linda Morales, President of UJA-Federation of New York, one of the primary organizers of this event. I'm proud to say that UJA has already allocated $10 million from our endowment to support the life-saving work of our partners on the ground. And we are facilitating much, much more. We are urging our community to give as generously as possible to UJA to meet these massive needs that we know lie ahead. And we come together this evening, a united community, to share our strength and resilience with the people of Israel. We come together to say, we share your sorrow, and we pray for the safe and immediate return of the hostages. And we also come together to say to the world, we must denounce terror and unequivocally support the right of Israel to defend its citizens. And it's now my great honor to introduce a tremendous friend of Israel, Governor Kathy Hochul. Governor Hochul immediately offered her support publicly for Israel, and we are grateful that she is using the full power of her office to help keep our New York Jewish community safe. This is major. So thank you, Governor. Thank you so much for your friendship. Your support means the world to us. We are so appreciative.
Albert Einstein once said, "The world is in greater peril from those who tolerate or encourage evil than those who actually commit it." I stand here to tell you that New Yorkers will never tolerate evil, whether it's committed here in our homeland or in Israel. We will never, ever tolerate evil. In such moments of darkness and in cruelty, yes, we are called upon to pray for peace, but justice first. There must be justice for the slaughter of babies and children and grandmothers and families torn apart by the horror of what happened to their loved ones. And that's exactly what we're going to continue to do. And I want to thank Linda for her support of the UJA and all of them. And yes, we will give generously. We must reach deep into our pockets because there are those who live far away. But we are united as one family because New York and Israel will always stand together. And they need our help now. So be generous. I also want to thank Ambassador Erdogan, who we just heard from. Just a few short hours ago, I was with the ambassador in the Consul General in their offices, and we sat there together as he watched President Biden talk about how the United States will be there for Israel in good times and in bad. And that is important to have that commitment from our President, Joe Biden. I want to thank Noam Gilboard, the interim CEO of JCRC, and all the organizations. I'll be brief. People are experiencing deep, deep pain in our hearts. There are families, there are New York families who don't know the outcome of their loved ones at this point in time. This is not the end. This is just the end of the beginning, because not only will we seek justice, we'll make sure that New Yorkers here in America, in our own state, are safe as well. You can count on our NYPD, our state police, our Joint Terrorism Task Force. We stand together to protect every single one of you. We'll continue to protect you. And I'll tell you, as governor of the state of New York, I am so proud to govern a state that has the largest Jewish population in the world outside of Israel. I'm proud of that. You're proud of that. We are all proud of that. And I'll continue to fight anti-Semitism every place it rears its ugly head. We will defeat evil right here in New York. Let's win this, everyone. Let's stick together. New York stands with Israel.
Good evening. My name is Ben Galb, and I serve as the president of the JCRC of New York, a proud member of the UJA network. I want to thank all the public officials who are here today standing by Israel. I particularly want to thank the governor for her kind remarks. I really want to thank you, though, all of you who are here today in person, for demonstrating to the world that New York stands arm in arm with our brothers and sisters in Israel during this most challenging time. Your presence matters, as do your voices. The horrors of the last few days are hard to comprehend. Try as I might, I can't even fathom the barbarity which has been displayed. New Yorkers understand 9/11. Imagine 10 times 9/11. That's what Israel had to withstand. And I think it was President Herzog who said that the last time so many Jews were slaughtered was during, God forbid, the Holocaust. With the viciousness of the terrorist attack on Israel so fresh in people's mind, there's clear, broad-based support for Israel's right to defense and to eliminate the immediate terrorist threat. But I fear that as we go on for a prolonged period of time, a lot more innocent people will suffer. And as the fighting goes on, we will see, and we're already seeing to some extent, some of the public officials assert that there's some kind of moral equivalency between the actions of the Israel Defense Forces and Hamas terrorist organization, as if an army which seeks to protect civilians as much as it possibly can is somehow no different than terrorists who actively seek out to murder babies, women, and children. As this war continues, I ask each of you to be on lookouts for signs of this dangerous pattern of the public's attention. Please continue to stand with Israel in the difficult days and weeks ahead as we are prepared to call out those leaders with weak moral compasses who attempt to sway public opinion in the wrong direction. We know if we're all together that won't happen, but we have to work together. I have the privilege of introducing the next speaker. We are very fortunate in New York. We have a mayor who's visited Israel 3 times, including just recently with the JCRC and UJA. We have a mayor who is very clear where he stands. And we have a mayor who does not espouse false moral equivalency, but speaks unequivocally in support of Israel. It is now my great honor to introduce the mayor, a true friend of Israel, the 110th mayor of the city of New York, Mayor Eric Adams.
Thank you, thank you. And I am not going to be long. I'm going to give you 4 words. This morning on my briefing, my special counsel, Lisa Zomberg, said something that I want us all to acknowledge. We've been through some tough time, New Yorkers. We're tough people. We saw the center of our trade collapse. We saw some of the horrific actions that played out on the stage of our city and our country. But she said something that hits me to my soul. She stated to our team, we are not all right. We are not all right when we see young girls pulled from their home and dragged through the streets. We are not all right when we see grandmothers being pulled away from their homes and children shot in front of their families. We are not all right when right here in the city of New York you have those who celebrate at the same time when the devastation is taking place in our city. We are not all right when Hamas believes that they are fighting on behalf of something in their destructive, despicable action that carried out. We are not all right when we still have hostages who have not come home to their family. We are not all right. And we're not going to say we have a stiff upper lip and act like everything is fine. Everything is not fine. Israel has a right to defend himself, and that's the right that we know. Your fight is our fight. Your fight is our fight. And right here in New York, we have the largest Jewish population outside of Israel. This is the place that our voices must raise and cascade throughout the entire country. We will not be all right until every person responsible for this act is held accountable. And we don't have to pretend. And I want to thank my religious leaders throughout this city of all religious groups who reached out to us and clearly stated that they denounce the hatred and the anti-Semitism that was displayed on one of the holiest days of the year. This was intentional, this was bitter, this was nasty, this was something that shows Hamas must be disbanded and destroyed immediately. And so I say to you, I'm not here because I'm your mayor. I've been in Israel as a state senator. I protected the community of this city in general, but specifically the Jewish community as a police officer. I stood with you as borough president. And now I'm here today to say not only am I the chief executive of this city, but I'm your brother. I'm your brother. Your fight is my fight. That swastika not only displays the pain of anti-Semitism, it displays the pain of racism among African Americans. You marched with us with Dr. King. You stood with us with all the fights we have. And I'm saying we're going to stand with you and stay united together. And we don't have to be all right. We should be angry at what we saw. Thank you, Israel.
And I want to thank my brother, the mayor. He really stands with Israel, came with us to Israel, was steadfast, and we can't thank him enough. And in addition to the mayor, we have our incredible Attorney General, Tish James. Tish James has traveled to Israel. She has a long, deep relationship with the New York Jewish community, and we are deeply appreciative of her strength and her vigilance, and she will stand with us. We thank you so much. Please welcome our Attorney General, Tish James.
Israel will not be destroyed. Israel will never perish. Israel will forever survive. I stand with Israel. What the world witnessed this weekend was the most horrific terrorist attack against the Jewish people, carried out by a terrorist organization. And that organization must be destroyed because it does not represent the interest of any people. This was an attempted genocide. And therefore we come together in sheer horror over what happened in Israel. All of us, people of all religions and all ethnicities, who have come together to hold up our Jewish and Israeli families and friends. And as someone who represented in the city council Crown Heights for 10 years and kept them safe, I will continue to keep the Jewish community safe now all throughout the state of New York. And my message is clear. You are not alone. I stand here as a living testament to the fact that terror and hate will never, ever win. Children and mothers and seniors and Holocaust survivors murdered, taken from their homes, held by hostage by monsters, young people celebrating the joys, dancing in the streets, spreading peace, raped, murdered, and then paraded around in the streets in the most barbaric ways. The death toll mounts against the slaughter. Members of the military and paramedics killed while trying to protect innocent people and their country. Precious babies, the most innocent of God's creation, murdered and desecrated in ways that we cannot comprehend, all in the name of a sick, sick group of people, families that will never be made whole again because of these acts of unspeakable terror, a nation in mourning, living under the greatest fear, yet is still called upon to respond to protect their own, a nation that still rises because they know the horrors of the real and immediate threat they face each and every damn day. This is the story of the Jewish people, resilient in the face of the most trying of circumstances. And tonight, we are here together to denounce the hate and violence and the terrorism. Israel's 9/11 that we will never forget and will never, ever happen again. And so we remember, and that's why we are here, to put our arms around one another, to absorb each other's pain, to turn to faith, and to pray, because in times of indescribable pain, we pray, prayer that knows no religion or race, ethnicity, or bounds. We pray for those who were murdered. And then after we pray, we demand that the hostages be returned now. Hostages that are still enduring unspeakable fear and danger. We pray for their safe return. And know, my Jewish brothers and sisters, know that God will be with you. He will never leave you, never forsake you. Do not be afraid and do not be discouraged. Hold on to hope, and may God be with Israel now and forever as we stand with Israel and we pray for peace. God bless you and thank you.
And now, please welcome the Acting Consul General of Israel in New York, Tzach Sa'ar.
I'm still heartbroken. I just met Orna and Ronen here, parents to Omer, that is currently kept in Gaza. And they do not know where is he, how is he feeling, if he is alive. I'm heartbroken because my homeland is under a brutal attack. We are fighting for our very existence. And my homeland is your closest ally in the Middle East and beyond. This same land holds profound spiritual significance for a vast Jewish community in America. This Saturday morning, during Simchat Torah, Shmini Atzeret, a day symbolizing joy in the Jewish calendar, Palestinian terrorists from Hamas launched a horrifying assault on Israeli civilians and soldiers, committing a massacre. The scale of this cruelty is unparalleled. They claimed the lives of over 1,000 individuals, wounded thousands, and abducted more than 100. Among the victims were Jews and non-Jews, Israelis, Americans, and other nationalities. From civilian to soldiers, from young to the elderly, the horrors committed are beyond words. Children were murdered. Women were assaulted and then taken to the Gaza Strip. Elderly individuals at bus stops were showered with bullets, and others were set on fire. These acts have robbed the victims of their dignity and humanity. It is the deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust. It is a modern pogrom, with Hamas showing a wickedness even beyond that of ISIS. These atrocious actions were not just against Israel, but also acts against America, against the world, against all humanity. Hamas, displaying a barbarity surpassing even ISIS will face the consequences. Make no mistake, our response is driven not by revenge, but by a deep-seated commitment to ensure that such terror never occurs again. Israel is ready to act decisively against Hamas, aiming to diminish their capacity and motivation for future unspeakable acts. This includes their ability to launch thousands of missiles at Israel. Their enhanced capabilities have been fostered by no other by Iran, a regime notorious for its destabilizing actions across the Middle East. Through funding, armament, training, and strategic oversight, they have empowered this massacre. It's evident that Tehran had a hand in these recent events and is fueling tensions in Lebanon and Syria, aiming for a broader conflict against Israel. Their ambitions will be thwarted. In America, the outpouring support for Israel is heartening. I'm deeply thankful to President Biden, governors, district attorneys, borough presidents, federal legislators, mayors, and other bipartisan elected officials. Their aid, also military, provided by the U.S., fortifies our defense and strengthens our resolve. Nevertheless, the sight of buildings illuminated in blue and white, along with raising our flags, underscores that we are on the right and the same side of history. While some vocal demonstrations favor terror, mass shooting, and dehumanization of innocent people, they are overshadowed by the overwhelming support for Israel. Alarmingly, there's a rising tide of anti-Semitism and assaults on Jews, intensified by the conflict. We must remain vigilant and combat this threat resolutely. As we stand against a ruthless adversary, one that uses its own children as shields, it's crucial that we stand up and speak out against these acts of terror. With unwavering determination, we shall triumph. We do not just have the right to defend ourselves, we are obliged to do so. And we thank America for standing with us. Am Israel Chai. So, right now, I'd like to call up Kai Friedman and Noah Kolb, who will share stories of loved ones who are being held captive or have been lost. And after them, the speakers are Orna and Ronen, parents of Omer.
I decided to leave to Israel in the summer of 2014 during Operation Protective Edge in order to enlist in the Israeli Defense Forces. Not knowing a word of Hebrew, plus never visiting and having no immediate family there, made the decision to go a little bit difficult. Thanks to the local community center in southern Brooklyn, the Kings Bay Y, I was prepared to help Israelis in high school before their army service prepare for their exams, their English exams. The Y, with its strong connections to Israel, helped build me an experience that would change my life. I lived in a small village just 20 miles from Gaza called Gan Yavne. During my time in Gan Yavne, I met fellow teens right before their army draft. We would laugh, speak about American culture, and train since we all wanted to draft to combat units within the IDF. There, I first met Omer, but everyone called him by his last name, Gavra. He inspired me from the first time we met. He always chose to do the right thing. He would pick up garbage anywhere he walked, everywhere he saw it. I asked him once, why do you go out of your way to pick up garbage and at times hold it until you saw a garbage bin to throw it out? He told me, because it's the right thing to do. Why not? After rigorous training, always supporting and pushing each other to get better, we both drafted to the paratrooper brigade, and later Omer entered into an elite unit called Maglan. As the lone soldier, having no immediate family in Israel, I ended up living with Gavra and his family. Gavra and I would see each other on base, and it would help seeing a friendly face when trainings got challenging. Towards the ending of my service, I met an Israeli girl, and we had an amazing connection from the second we met. I remember speaking to Omer and saying to him, she's agreed to go out with me, even though all the time I was barely home due to where my unit was stationed, and I liked her a lot. But I don't know where to take her out. I don't want to take her to a typical restaurant date. Omer smiled and said, bro, I'll show you the best spot to take her. He showed me the spot overlooking an orange orchard in Gan Yavne, where we watched the sunset. Fast forward, Michal and I got married 10 months ago, and we planned this trip to New York City to visit family and friends during the holidays. We woke up this past Saturday to phone calls and hundreds of messages, all from friends and family in Israel. Our first thoughts were the most obvious: we have to get back. We quickly realized we probably won't be able to get back as soon as we want because of the skirmishes, the surprise attack, and rocket attacks throughout Israel. Gavra got a call on Saturday and rushed to the southern villages very close to Gaza. On his way, he saw a truck with a mounted machine gun shooting at cars on the highway. Without thinking about his own safety, he engaged in a shootout with the truck, full of Hamas terrorists, and was killed. That's Gavra. Like many heroes, he was driven by strong values and never thought about himself, always others. Gavra and I heard a quote from a high-ranking officer, and it has stuck with me ever since. The echoes of our acts are stronger than the sound of our vocals. The world can manipulate, tell tales, report what they choose to report, but the truth will prevail. We will remain who we are. We must remain together. We will always aim to do what is right. We'll never lower ourselves to our enemy's standards, and Bezrat Hashem, we will succeed. Am Yisrael Chai. May God bless our soldiers and look over after all who's been affected.
Doron Asher Katz and her two little girls, Raz, age 4.5, and Aviv, age 2.5, were kidnapped by Hamas and brought into Gaza on Saturday morning during the brutal massacre. They were visiting Doron's mother at kibbutz near Oz, where Doron was born and raised. Doron's husbands and the girl's dad, Yoni, spoke with them a few times early that morning following the outbreak. Doron sent him a picture of the girls seated by the table, a little table at the shelter, eating breakfast on small plastic plates. At 10:30, on what would be their last call, Doron said that she was scared. She whispered to Yoni that the terrorists entered the home. Yoni begged Doron to stop speaking, and that is when he heard gunshots. That was the last time he heard from his family. It was not until a few hours later that he finally saw his wife and little girls again. But this time, it was on a video published by Hamas, where the three could be seen taken in a vehicle surrounded by terrorists. Doron is a loving and devoted mother. She is a generous and smart person who has a successful career as a CPA at a large Israeli company. It is beyond painful to imagine Raz and Aviv, two smart, beautiful girls, full of life and happiness, being held captive in Gaza, being in this horror, in this hell. Doron, Raz, and Aviv are only 3 of over 100 Israeli civilians, babies, young children, elderly, among them Holocaust survivors, who were kidnapped to Gaza. I'll mention a few of them. Ariel Bibas, a 6-month-old baby. His brother Kfir, a 4-year-old. 8-year-old Ella Eliakim. Erez Calderon, an 11-year-old. Noya Dan, 13 years old. A 14-year-old Daphna Eliakim. 14-year-old Daphna Eliakim. Yafa Adar, an 85-year-old. And Carmela Dan, 80 years old. Yoni Asher spoke this morning with 63 UN ambassadors and demanded his family's immediate return to Israel. We should join Yoni, demanding all nations to make clear that Hamas carries full responsibility and accountability for the well-being of the hostages and demand their immediate return home. Yoni is listening and watching us right now from Israel on my phone. Yoni, you are not alone. Look at all these people supporting you and the entire people of Israel, praying and hoping for good news. Seeing this tremendous support might not be enough to return Doron, Raz, and Aviv home at this moment. But we hope it gives you, Yoni, and others the strength to keep going, to continue fighting, and to prevail, like Israel and its people always have and always will.
Make it short. We are Ronen and Orna Neutra. We live on Long Island, New York, and we are proud dual citizens of the United States and Israel. Our beloved son, Omer Neutra, was born and raised on Long Island. He grew up loving both of his homeland America and the land of Israel, with a lot of passion. He's a fun-loving person and a huge sports fan, especially loving the Knicks. He was the captain of his school basketball, volleyball, and soccer teams, and was the New York regional president of his youth group. A born leader, a great son, friend, and a passionate, giving person. After graduating high school, Omer was accepted to Binghamton University, but decided first to take a gap year in Israel and connect with his family roots. This experience impacted his decision to stay in Israel and do what he believed in, serving and protecting the people of Israel.
We last spoke with him on Friday night. In our last conversation, he was looking forward to a quiet, peaceful weekend after a stressful month protecting the border. Omer is now believed to be held by Hamas. Omer, we know you are alive We know you are whole. Be strong. We love you very much. And we know we will be together again soon. To the Hamas leaders, we ask that you will continue to treat Omer and all of the hostages in a humanitarian way in accordance with international law.
We are very grateful for all the efforts. The Israeli government, Secretary Blinken, and the Biden administration. What a speech today. What a speech. Senator Schumer and Gillibrand, Governor Hochul, Mayor Adams, and so many other people that care. And appealing to you, all of those people, to do everything, and we mean everything within your power, to ensure the secure, safe release of Omer and all the other hostages. Omer, look at the love and support. We love you, and we are just looking forward to bring you back home. Thank you, everybody, for your support and love. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And now, please welcome to the stage cantors Chaim David Burson and Zevi Muller and their choir.